Angry Madman here, and today I'm discussing why I'm dropping all labels in 2019, and you should too. Thank you to these patrons, and very special thank you to these patrons: Sharky, Mickey Turner, Robin Shures, Hansky, Joshua Flores, Levi Abram, RJ, Rebecca Anderson, Gabriel Prince, F8 Crusader, Scott Venman, Samir Damani, Midtown Kiosk, AWOL 201, David Hera, Goonmaster, Link Neurons, Thomas Danielle, John R., and Fernando Grant. You guys are awesome. So today I want to discuss why I'm dropping all labels in 2019, and you should too. It's so interesting because prior to starting this video, I already am getting backlash for even touching on this topic, and I find that very, very interesting. Now, MGTOW stands for men going their own way, and let me just be very clear that I'm not simply just talking about the term MGTOW. I'm talking about every label. I'm talking about conservative, I'm talking about Christian, I'm talking about Republican, I'm talking about every label. I am dropping every label. Now, does this mean that I am no longer a conservative? Well, I still have conservative beliefs, but I don't need to call myself a conservative to believe what I choose to believe. I don't need to call myself a Christian to believe in God, okay? Or to be able to sit down and break bread with a Christian, a person who does call himself a Christian, although there are potentially people who will not want to break bread with me because I don't use the label, which is pretty interesting, isn't it? It's funny how dangerous labels can be. It really is. But prior to starting this video, someone actually left a comment saying, Red Pill Warrior, who I think may be one of my patrons, I'm probably going to lose him right now as a patron if he is. He immediately left a comment saying, on sub, right? And I want to say initially I was shocked. This is before the video even started. But it shouldn't really surprise anyone. Okay, so one of you guys said in the chat, will you ever do a face reveal? It's possible. It's highly possible. And it's possible because I don't want to spend the rest of my life living in fear. At the end of the day, if it happens, it happens. And it would be less of a face reveal and more of me just moving to another stage in my life. And that's that. But this whole thing about labels, I'm absolutely tired of them. Yep. I'm absolutely tired of labels. All right? It's so funny because people don't seem to even understand what the MGTOW philosophy actually is. I still embrace the entire going your own way philosophy. In fact, the whole idea behind going your own way is that if the label itself ever became toxic, you would go your own way from the label. Yes, you would disassociate yourself. A lot of men over the years no longer call themselves MGTOW. There are guys on my video who watch my videos who say that they've gotten rid of the label a long time ago. They still listen to this content. They still enjoy the philosophy. They're still living the philosophy. So you might say, well, then you're a MGTOW. No, because MGTOW is a label. It is a label that refers to a philosophy. Okay? So they are living a philosophy. They are taking the philosophy. You don't need a label for a philosophy. You really don't, to live a philosophy. You don't need a label to live a philosophy. Think about that carefully. As long as you know what the philosophy is, you can live the philosophy without the label. But it's this thing where people, on one hand, people want to belong. On the other hand, people, they feel as though some sense of ownership and a sense of kinship. And if you choose not to associate yourself with a specific label, then you're disassociating yourself with the group. The problem is that when it comes to philosophy, philosophy doesn't delve around group theory. For example, movements are built around groups. Philosophies are typically built around the individual. The individual chooses to accept or reject the philosophy. It's a completely different thing. It's funny because you have a lot of people constantly referring to MGTOW as a movement, but MGTOW is a philosophy. Unfortunately, MGTOW, as it is today, isn't even MGTOW anymore. And I'm going to explain the reason why. The original MGTOW philosophy, which I consider truly the only real MGTOW philosophy, was originally about men rebuilding the relationship between themselves and women and reclaiming their masculinity. That was MGTOW, what we call MGTOW 1.0. And then the philosophy changed around the time like 2009, 2010-ish, more or less. It began to evolve around that time, with Barbarossa and Stardust ushering in what we now know as MGTOW 2.0, which became about not marrying, not having children, instead focusing on self-development. And then we've entered into MGTOW 3.0 now, which is basically about social, financial, and economic freedom, if we can put it in those terms. The problem is that a philosophy doesn't necessarily change. The core principles of a philosophy don't change. All right? You can't change the core principles of a philosophy and then say that it's still the same philosophy. And yet, that's what has happened with MGTOW. So the absolute truth is that MGTOW, as we know it today, is not MGTOW. It isn't. MGTOW, regardless if you agree or disagree with MGTOW 1.0, what we call MGTOW 1.0, that's MGTOW. That is the core MGTOW philosophy. But based on groupthink, we've actually claimed to have changed the meaning of the philosophy to adhere to our own personal beliefs and social standards. Do you understand that this is exactly what happened with feminism, where feminism just kept moving the ball? Granted, feminism is a movement, but originally feminism was about suffrage, women getting voting rights. So women got voting rights. And then what? They kept moving the ball. Then it became about women entering the workforce. All right? And having the exact same opportunities as men. And they entered the workforce in large numbers. Many became doctors, and they held every position that a man can hold. And it also became about equal representation. And there were things like Equal Pay Acts passed to ensure that women were treated fairly and provided with the same opportunities and same compensation, or the opportunities for the same compensation as men. And then we entered feminism, third wave, which was basically about women stomping out any type of inequality or any injustice that they perceived. Then we entered MGTOW. Then we entered. You see how easy it is to confuse them, because we're going in the same direction. We've already gone in the same direction. And then we entered feminism 4.0, which was evidently classified as online feminism. And now I'm hearing discussion about feminism 5.0, which I don't even know what the heck it is. I think feminism 5.0 may be something, I don't know. Them taking to the streets. Here's the problem, guys. They just kept moving the ball. And the original concept, the original goal is gone. All right? So it's no longer the same. It's no longer the core. And MGTOW, we literally changed a philosophy based on groupthink. So what we call MGTOW today is not MGTOW. Regardless if you agree with MGTOW 1.0 or not, that is MGTOW. The very moment we changed the philosophy or attempted to change a philosophy, we created something else. Okay? We created something else. And that needs to be made very clear. We essentially hijacked a label and we changed it to our wanting, to our specific group behavior, group norms. It's funny because I'm one of the few MGTOWs, if not the only MGTOW content producer that's saying this. And keep in mind, I think that's why a lot of people follow me, because I speak my mind. And I often go against the social grains. And I think that's why I've had, there have been times in life where people just didn't like me. But at the same time, that's also why I attract some people, because I'm saying the things that others won't, and you can accept it or reject it, but it's a different opinion. And sometimes I might be right. Also, there are times when there are multiple rights and wrongs, or there's no right or wrong. But in this case, you can't change a philosophy. You can try to hijack a philosophy and misconstrue it, but that's not changing the philosophy itself. That's basically creating something else and trying to present it as the original thing. We've seen that happen with religion. There are 2 likes and 2 dislikes on this video, guys. If you support what I'm saying, if you support me, please go ahead and like the video. Show the haters that you support and understand what I'm saying. Just to be clear, I'm not dropping the MGTOW philosophy. I'm not dropping the going your own way philosophy. I dropped the label Christian, but I still love God more than anything, and He is the light in my life. Okay? But I'm not a Christian. I don't call myself a Christian. All right? I still have very conservative views, but I won't call myself a conservative anymore, or a Republican. I don't need those labels. I don't need to be associated with groupthink. I can think for myself. Thank you very much. All right? And I can express my opinions. And it's interesting because by doing this, no one can control me. I don't need validation. Why is it that people are trying to, I'm sure you're going to see comments like, well, you know what? If you don't want the label, then you need to go your own way entirely and just go ahead and leave. Why? Well, don't speak on going your own way issues anymore if you're not a MGTOW. But I am going my own way. I'm still adhering to the philosophy. But again, the philosophy that we adhere to isn't even called MGTOW, because MGTOW That's something else. That was MGTOW 1. What we refer to as MGTOW 1.0 was MGTOW. So the philosophy, even the philosophy that many of us follow today, that we call MGTOW, isn't even MGTOW. It is not even MGTOW. It's a philosophy that we built based around social norms and adapted. It's the honest truth. And the ball keeps on getting moved. I've had enough. And hence, I'm just going to go my own way and choose how I go my own way and how I live my life. That's the real idea behind going your own way, isn't it? When you're going your own way. We really need to drop labels. And you're seeing it happening where you're seeing groups like, I made a video earlier where I basically discussed how like an anti-feminist says that she's dropping the anti-feminist label because she ended up saying something along the lines of, you know, she's finding that the anti-feminists are even more feminist than feminist. Okay? There are 3 dislikes on this video. And it's interesting because I have not said anything along the lines of I am abandoning the core beliefs that I believe in. I just said no more labels. Okay? No more labels. And it feels like an outright betrayal to many of you, an outright rejection to many of you, to say that I don't want to label anymore. I don't want to have any labels. And it's like, oh, you know, Angry, you must be angry. You must be crazy. That's some crazy talk, Angry. Did you take your meds today? Like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. You know, that's how they control people. There are 4 dislikes on this video. And I can see I've pissed off a lot of people. I've upset a lot of you guys already. 4 dislikes on this video. And of course, those dislikes are going to be coming from people who are conformist. All right? Nolan Baptiste says, hey, Angry, what's up, man? What's going on, bro? Mickey Turner says, hey, hi, everyone. PV2 says, delete all your MGTOW related accounts and make new normie accounts. But here's the interesting thing. I still believe in the present philosophy, but I don't believe in keeping a label. Matthew says, dropping all labels, you sound like a woman not wanting to put a label on a relationship so she can keep it open while she's still getting the attention, resources, and cheat. Well, here's the thing. I don't want to get married, okay? I don't want to get married. So I can say that I'm in a relationship, but I don't need to say that I am married, nor do I need to get married to be in a relationship, okay? I can still adhere to the same philosophy that we have in present for MGTOW present day, but I don't need to use a label or be a part of a group to adhere to follow that philosophy. In fact, the idea of being a part of a group to be a MGTOW in many ways goes against the very concept of what we have as MGTOW today. Being, you know, having to be a part of a group to be to be allowed to follow the philosophy. Are you insane? And it's funny because I know I'm going to get punished for this. I know there's going to be guys who come after me. There's going to be fallout for saying that I'm done with labels. But again, labels, you don't need them. All right? You know what I'm focused on right now? I'm focused on making money. I'm focusing on my self-development. I'm focused on taking care of my body, taking care of my health, taking care of my mind, my resources. Okay? That's the honest to goodness truth. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, for example, well, I'm not saying things along the lines of, well, I want to get rid of, I'm not going into that extreme path. All I'm saying is I don't need to label myself as a part of any specific group. Okay? For example, I am born a male, so I am a male. Okay? And that is a label, but at the same time, it's a direct descriptor. It's a direct descriptor of what I am, and that's something that I cannot change. I cannot change that. On the other hand, and I have no control over that. On the other hand, okay? On the other hand, when it comes to something like MGTOW, it's ever changing. It's an ever changing philosophy that really, can you say it's a philosophy, because it's ever changing. It's constantly being morphed into something else, just like feminism. And it's happening because of groupthink. There is no place for groupthink in a philosophy. Look at Buddhism. Buddhism was a very simple philosophy that originated from the Buddha, who did not have the easiest of lives, evidently. And what did they do? They took the philosophy of Buddhism and they transformed it into a religion with traditions, bells, gongs, okay, like written passages, and everyone just kind of went along with it. Even the way that Buddhists dress today, okay, may not have anything to necessarily do with Buddhism, with the philosophy of Buddhism. I'll go as far as saying that even the term Buddhism may not even refer to the original philosophy. No, that was created by the Buddha. Think about it. The Buddha gave us a philosophy, and then it was named, and then a group of people came together, took the philosophy, called it Buddhism, all right, themselves Buddhist, and built groupthink around it, basically coming to conclusions of what was acceptable from unacceptable to do and believe within the philosophy itself. So now they took that philosophy and they transformed it from a philosophy now to a religion. Are you catching? Are you following? All right? Jesus Christ came to earth, and he taught us a better way to live. A better way to live. And what did humans do? What did people of that time do? In our time, we took that philosophy of living a better life and we built it into a religion. We built an entire religion around it. And then in many cases, under the guise of that religion, we used it to wage wars, to do a number of things and take advantage of different groups of people, all in the name of Jesus. Do you guys understand that Christianity has literally nothing to do with Jesus? Because he didn't create it. It was created by men. It's a religion created by men and organized through groupthink. Like I said, it makes me sad, but it's to be expected that it's to be completely expected that people respond this way. I'm thinking about changing my name to the Money Man, right? Because my focus is money. I'm here to get my money right now. All right? I'm focusing on developing passive income. I'm focusing on building wealth. I'm focusing on self-development, fitness, and health. Those are my focuses. I'm focused on God. But, my first focus is on God, then my next focus is on my resources. And it's interesting because why in the world would you care? Let me see here. Yeah. Why would people care so much about a label when the real thing they should be caring about is their lives and the quality of their lives? It's sad. It's really, really sad where people care more about a label than they do about the quality of their lives and living lives that they truly enjoy and living lives that they are in control of and that they are guiding, not being guided by someone else or a group of someone else's. Groupthink is a terrible thing. Mike says, angry madman, true MGTOW has no form and no definition. Thank you very much for saying that, Mike. Thank you. Mike says, even marriage was mixed with religion. Yup. Mike says, apparently Buddha advised people not to build statues of him, nor temples. Oh my gosh. Let me read this comment again from Mike. He says, apparently, Buddha advised people not to build statues of him nor temples. Can you imagine that? So he concluded, and it wouldn't surprise me, that he concluded that they would take they would take his philosophy and try to build a religion around it. So he advised them, do not do this. And what did they do? They did the very same thing. They did the very same thing. As soon as he was no longer in the picture, they built a religion around the philosophy when he clearly stated, don't do this. I'm going to tell you guys something very interesting that I've heard. Albert Einstein, often thought to be the greatest physicist to ever live and one of the smartest people to ever live as well. Well, here's something interesting about Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein knew what people thought of him. They knew that they thought that he was, he had some amazing characteristics. And people were wondering, well, how can I become as smart as Albert Einstein? Do you know what I've heard is that he actually instructed that he did not want his body to be desecrated. He didn't want, I believe, an autopsy when he died. And he did not want them to essentially worship him. Did you hear me right? He was worried that people would try to study his body and try to figure out why he was so intelligent, why he was able to achieve the things that he did. He was worried about this. Okay? And from what I understand, he provided specific instructions that this was not to happen. His body was not to be dissected and put on display, and he should not be used in this way, because he knew that people would try to potentially worship him. What ended up happening? After Einstein died one day, and upon him dying, a coroner went, received his body, and immediately performed an autopsy, removing his brain, then carved his brain up into different segments. And those segments, I believe, were then divided, something along those lines. And eventually the son of Einstein, his family, eventually gave them permission, but initially they didn't want to. But by that point, his brain had already been removed. His body, it had already been carved up. I think there was a movie at one point that discussed, like, you know, this guy traveling the country with Einstein's brain. Okay? The very same thing that Einstein requested not to happen is the very same thing that they went on to do. The doctor who removed his brain basically talked about how remarkable his brain is. What's interesting, though, is that I believe I've read that in reality there was really nothing remarkable about Einstein's brain. Maybe some differences over the average brain, but you have to understand that an average is basically an average of everything. It doesn't represent it's a mean. It's not a mode, okay? So it's not the number that occurs most often. It's not a median. It's not a middle number. It's an average, which means that it's an average of both the highest and lowest numbers as well. So in reality, you don't know if his brain was actually what we would consider to be the most occurring size, dimension-wise, in reality. It's absolutely crazy. Think about that, all right? They began to worship him, his brain. So I talk about MGTOW, the same exact thing happening where you begin worshiping a philosophy. And it's funny because, and it's no longer philosophy, it's a religion. And it's so interesting because you realize that, I've said this before, that a lot of people who call themselves MGTOWs, all right? Dr. MGTOW says he needs to head over to the gym. You realize that a lot of people who call themselves MGTOWs, just like people who call themselves feminist and won't give up the label feminism, they continue to do it because they feel powerless in their own lives, or they want to belong to something, all right? If you need MGTOW, if you need the MGTOW label to feel like you have power or control over your life, there's a difference between feeling proud to call yourself a MGTOW, but when you call yourself a MGTOW, you should be proud to be living the philosophy, not proud of the label. The label means absolutely nothing, as the label itself can be taken and misconstrued and turned into something else. Do you understand? So, hence, which is what's happened numerous times. And the same exact thing has happened with feminism. And the same people who still call themselves feminist, I showed you a video of a woman who still calls herself a feminist, but starts saying that men need to take control back. And it was completely weird. And, you know, she had very anti-feminist beliefs, but she still called herself a feminist. And I realized that, at least the conclusion I came to is, why would someone do that? And it's because you have people that feel powerless in their own lives, and they would rather hold on to something that is negative, you know, or has very negative meanings or social beliefs, but at the same time, it still makes them feel like they have some power and some control, and they would hold on to something that is essentially bad, but are not good, or that they don't like, but simply because it makes them feel like they have some type of power. And if you take it away from it, even if it's bad, but if you take it away from them, they'll end up feeling completely powerless, depowered, which is quite terrible, because at the end of the day, the term MGTOW has no real power. All right? It doesn't. It's the actions behind the label that actually make people sit up and look at it and think, wow, you know, well, those guys are really doing something. I tell you guys, There's 18 likes, 4 dislikes. I'm going to tell you what's so funny. There were 5 dislikes. Someone disliked the video, and then as they're listening to the video, they clearly removed the dislike. They clearly removed that. I've seen that happen before. Like people dislike the video, and then they start listening to what I'm saying, and they're like, yeah, I'm just going to take that dislike back. But then it also goes the other way as well. Dr. MGTOW says, you're a true philosopher, AM. Thank you. Nature Monk says, it is within silencing the internal dialogue that is one of the essences learned by Buddha. From a philosophical perspective, there is no way to come to this point. That's absolutely very interesting. CW says, the action of men is shifting. Dion says, my MGTOW brothers, my red pill brother. Again, at the end of the day, I've said this before, that not all men are your brothers as well, all right? And I've made that very, very clear. Not all men are your brothers, okay? You know, it's so funny because you have people who, there are people who despise me, right? That use the MGTOW label, and they don't mean me well. They honestly don't. But you're going to say because I've used the MGTOW label and they use the MGTOW label, then we're brothers and we need to get along? Oh my goodness. It's so funny because you have biological brothers who their relationship is so toxic that you can hardly call them that. And yet you feel that there are people who believe that simply because you both are associated with a label, you should all get along. You can look at something like Christianity, where you have many different groups of Christians, but they all have their own label within Christianity itself, and they all believe that their version of Christianity, which can actually differ slightly or even have significant differences from each other, is the correct version of that religion. But here's where things get really interesting. A Catholic and a Jehovah's Witness are technically two different religions within Christianity, which is also a religion. So Christianity is a religion. So you have religions within religions. Not only that, not only do you have religions within religions, but you'll have a religion, you have Christianity, then you will have a religion like Catholicism, and then you will have an offshoot of Catholicism, all right? I forget what they call themselves. So they're not Roman Catholics, but they do believe in like the tenets of Catholicism. I forget what they call themselves, all right? So you have different versions of that same religion. So you have a religion within a religion that has an offshoot of a religion and an offshoot of said religion, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, think about that. A religion within a religion within a religion, or a religion within a religion with an offshoot of said religion. It's insane. It's insane. And the cycle never ends. It just keeps on going deeper and deeper and deeper. And the deeper that you go, the further and further away you get from the original philosophy upon which the religion was originally based. Hence, you're no longer following a religion, you're no longer following a philosophy, and no one even remembers what the original philosophy was, because you're so far removed from it. And no one asks questions. No one asks questions. Everyone just says follow and believe. Just follow and believe. I find it so interesting I find it so interesting when you have people, you have people who they don't believe in God, but then they want you to have faith. They want you to like basically have faith in something that is man-made, and they're trying to defend. Like, for example, you look at a lot of atheists, and atheists, they don't believe in God, but they are so adamant about not believing in God that they want you to have faith in not having faith. Think about the insanity of that. All right? Atheists have essentially created their own religion. In fact, I think atheism is classified as a religion. You can classify that, well, I'm an atheist, so they'll treat it exactly as the same, I think. All right? And they have their own circles. They have their own beliefs. It's a religion. It's a religion. Think about it. All right? You don't believe in God per se, but you do have your own beliefs, your own ritual beliefs and norms and culture, all right? And your group. So that's a religion. All right? It's a religion of people who advocate for not having faith in faith, but having faith in not having faith. You see the insanity, all right? Do you see the absolute insanity? And again, some of you are like thinking, like, "Am, what are you on?" I'm just being realistic. I'm just dissecting things as they come. I'm thinking for myself. I'm thinking rational and clearly. And at the end of the day, you might think, people are like, "Oh, that's crazy talk, man." You know what's crazy? People who don't think for themselves, because you think that you're going to be okay by allowing others to think for you or going along with groupthink. But at the end of the day, when everyone, because like we're heading for a catastrophe right now, social, financial, economic collapse globally. And when all is said and done, people say, "Am, you're a prophet," or "Am, you can see the future." No, it's having common sense. And a lot of people don't want to rock the boat because they would rather stay in a sinking ship that they're at least comfortable with, rather than jumping into an unknown lifeboat that they have no experience with. It's the honest truth. A lot of people would rather stay on a sinking ship where they are comfortable, right? Because they at least know the sinking ship. All right? They have familiarity with the sinking ship, rather than step onto an unknown lifeboat and taking a chance of rowing off on their own. Because another point is that even if they're on the sinking ship, at least they're not alone. But if they get onto the lifeboat by themselves and they have to row on their own, and they have to basically lead their own lives and take their faith, their survival into their own hands. Now that's more scary than going down with the ship and being surrounded by a group of other people who are also going down as well, while believing that everything's going to be okay when you're on that sinking ship. I am not, just to be very clear, I am not dropping the going your own way philosophy, not the present day going your own way philosophy. All right? All I'm saying is I am done with labels. Think about this. On YouTube right now, they are demonetizing content that is labeled MGTOW. They are taking down channels that are labeled MGTOW. All right? So at some point, I don't know if you guys are realizing this, but it's at some point, the only MGTOW content creators that you may be able to find, and the only MGTOW content you may be able to even listen to on YouTube, won't even come from channels where guys call themselves MGTOW or even outwardly discuss MGTOW. Instead, they discuss the philosophy or the present day philosophy. Oh my goodness, I tell you. I know, like I said, I knew I was going to upset some people. I definitely knew I was going to upset some people. Dr. MGTOW says, 2 days ago, a Jehovah's Witness was knocking on my door, and I almost, oh my goodness, I can't read that. Brian says, sounds about right. The original philosophy is usually lost over the generations. Yep. Nature Monk says, grow vegetables and fruits on your own property. You can't eat crypto when free internet is gone. You know, the interesting thing is that everyone seems to think that we're going to end up in a circumstance where there's like no electricity. What happens when you end up in a situation where Wi-Fi is still on, all right? Wi-Fi is still on, but, you know, you can't buy food. Honestly, that's where we're headed. People don't seem to believe it. You're right. We're heading into a situation where there will be Wi-Fi. You know, there'll still be Wi-Fi for you. You'll still be able to get on a Wi-Fi network. You just won't be able to get bread. I'm just being honest with you. All right. It would take quite a bit for us to go back to the dark ages. For example, we'd have to have a complete collapse of our electrical grid system. Technology would have to recede. We're moving forward with technological development, not backwards. All right. We're moving forward with efficiency and worker reduction. I don't see that changing anytime soon. In fact, a global collapse on a large level will just result in that in technology accelerating to the prospect of reducing more and more jobs. In this global collapse, technology will only accelerate. It's not going to decelerate the way people think it is. They're going to use it as a reason to remove many traditional jobs as possible, and they're going to sink the existing resources into technology. This is one of the reasons why, for example, whenever a war breaks out, tons of new technology suddenly emerges because the resources are sunk into development, and technology advances. The same thing is going to happen in this so-called collapse. The resources are going to be sunk into technology to basically eliminate the jobs that they can no longer, that are now too expensive to pay people to do. So they're going to automate them out, and they'll basically reallocate the cost to those who can afford to pay versus those who cannot. There's this guy, Psychic Pokemon Trainer, says you should drop MGTOW philosophy if you're done with the title. And do you see this, guys? You should drop MGTOW philosophy if you're done with the title. But here's the thing, like I said, the philosophy that you refer to as MGTOW is not even MGTOW philosophy. It's not. The MGTOW philosophy was MGTOW 1.0. You can't change a philosophy, okay? You can change goals within a group. Groupthink can change what you're planning to do, but you can't change a philosophy. You can't. All right. So MGTOW went away almost 20 years ago, guys. 15 to 20 years ago. MGTOW's been gone for about 15 to 20 years. That philosophy passed away about 15 to 20 years ago. What you call MGTOW today is not MGTOW. It is a mutation. It is a complete re-envisioning. It is not MGTOW. It is something else. It is groupthink at its best. It is a religion. It is a religion that people are essentially holding on to and adhering to because for some people, it makes them feel powerful. Other people, it makes them feel like they have a purpose. You cannot gain purpose from a label. You can feel like you do, but eventually you'll start to feel empty as the label begins to dissipate and it begins to fall apart, or as it begins to become hijacked by others. Oh my goodness, I tell you. Justin says, I want to withdraw a lump sum of cash recently, and the bank manager asked me why, and was I sure? Justin, I don't know if you remember, if you were around when I said this maybe a year ago. I said this a while ago, that you're going to go to the bank and they're going to start asking what you're going to try to withdraw a reasonable amount of money, not a giant amount, but a reasonable amount, a couple $100 maybe $1,000. All right. Nothing that they should really bat an eye at. And they're going to ask you why. I said this a while back. You're going to go to the bank and they're going to ask you why. And you know why they're asking you why? Because the amount of cash that they have on hand, their cash flow is beginning to narrow down. So hence, they are going to try to prevent you from withdrawing large amounts of money. You're going to witness ATM limits crash down. It happened during the last recession, if I recall, and it's going to happen again, but just on a larger scale. When Greece experienced their economic collapse, the withdrawal limit went down to $50 a day. 50. People would spend hours, would wait for hours at ATMs. All right, they'd wait on long lines at ATMs in Greece to take out 50 euros a day. 50 euros. Okay. You know something interesting that a lot of you guys haven't even thought about? Let's talk about blockchain, because so many of you like to talk about cryptocurrency. All right, and it's insolvency. But hey, you guys don't really think about this, do you? With cryptocurrency, it comes close to eliminating the issue of what we call double spend, to prevent one transaction from being spent twice. So for example, you can't use the same dollar to purchase multiple items, all right? Because there should technically only be $1. You can't use the same dollar to purchase multiple items. All right, like I can't spend this dollar to purchase some coffee and then take the exact same dollar and spend it again to purchase a bagel. That dollar has already been spent to purchase coffee. Here's the problem though. While blockchain addresses this, unless there's a 51% consensus where someone takes over the network and then there are issues that can happen. But in the case of fiat currency, when you're dealing with a bank and they're keeping track of this, they're using what we call centralized ledgers. Okay, blockchain is a decentralized ledger, but fiat currencies, banks, they use centralized ledgers, which are basically large databases. Now, with a blockchain, you have multiple nodes, and these multiple nodes are each verifying the transactions. Okay. So you have multiple steps of verification, hence you have multiple confirmations to ensure that the transactions are not only transparent, but that they are correct. On the other hand, when you're dealing with a bank, like let's say Bank of America or Chase Manhattan, what makes you think that they have the proper security in place to ensure that double spending doesn't happen? How much you want to bet that double spending happens more often than you could have ever imagined? And in reality, many of these banks, as a result of double or even triple spending, may be billions of dollars in debt. Okay? Think about that very, very carefully, where many of these companies, as a result of not having a proper system in place to verify and re-verify these transactions, have over time created a situation where they are now insolvent because they've spent more money than they actually have. All right? But hey, who knows? But you know, nobody knows. Shh. until it's time to until people actually go to the bank and say they want to withdraw their money. Okay, they want to physically withdraw their money, and the bank starts saying, why? Because let's not forget that part of that money has already been loaned out. Part of that money has already been loaned out, or most of that money has already been loaned out to people, to organizations, companies, so that the banks can earn interest on that. So they don't have a lot of money on hand. And then in a situation where you have double spending occurred, they've essentially loaned out money that technically they shouldn't have been able to loan out. So the money, so-called money that they still have in the bank is just, it's just digital. It's essentially, it's just zeros and ones that are fabricated, that they're essentially making up. So they're fudging the numbers, but, you know, of course, no one wants to call them on it. Like, for example, the government doesn't want to call them on it, because if it turns out that Bank of America is insolvent and that Bank of America doesn't have any money, right? Then, you know, if a big bank like Bank of America goes down, not only does the bank go down, all right, but it would drag down major corporations. It could drag down Microsoft. It could drag down major corporations that have accounts that hold billions of dollars in these accounts. Not only that, it could wipe out massive amounts of prosperity. For example, accounts that hold billions of dollars in pensions and 401ks. What do you think would happen to those accounts? Those accounts are not protected by the FDIC. That only protects accounts up to $250,000. Accounts with $1 billion in there, or more than $1 billion, they're all gone. They're all gone. Think about that very, very carefully. Steven says central banks are about to be destroyed. What people don't seem to understand is that the next standard from the central bank is likely going to be cryptocurrency. The irony about the central banks is that they're going to want control over that cryptocurrency. All right. They're not going to want to make it transparent. And, you know, even if they try to come up with a strategy that claims that it's transparent, there's going to be something in the background. They're going to basically how central banks going to work. If the central bank releases their own so-called cryptocurrency, it's not really a cryptocurrency, because they're going to try to create it in such a way that allows them to have direct control over that currency, because they're greedy. Okay? Their greed will get the best of them. And why would they let such a great opportunity go to waste? First off, the concept of a privacy coin is something they're not going to want to allow. They will, you know, at best, they would create something where they would leave a back door in there, oopsie, that would allow them to trace the transactions, freeze accounts, freeze funds in ways that they could never do with fiat. All right? So basically, they will now have control powers that they could never have imagined with fiat currencies, with traditional paper money. All right? That is the world that they would want to plunge us in. All right. And the interesting thing about crypto is that they would just end up rinsing and repeating the same exact thing. Because while cryptocurrency is limited in quantity, they would just turn around and create a digital currency, which would still end up being the same type of currency that banks are using. And in many ways, it'd still end up becoming moderately centralized, like Ripple. For example, Ripple is not a true cryptocurrency. It's something that we know because it's more of a hybrid. It allows both for a centralized and decentralized structure. As a result of that, Ripple's not a true cryptocurrency. It is centralized. It is a centralized currency. It's just masquerading as a cryptocurrency, but it is centralized in its design. All right, as it does allow banks to maintain private ledgers. People don't want to think for themselves. It's because thinking for yourself is scary. And then when you start, and then the very moment that you start seeing things happen from a guy named Angry Madman, everyone's like, oh, he's a prophet. No, it's just that he's thinking for himself, which is something that people are afraid to do because it can be scary sometimes. Denasi says, I don't know, he doesn't sound angry. I tell you. Igor says, I'm going to keep my MGTOW label. You can do whatever you want. You can choose to keep it, but just know that you are, by adhering to that label, MGTOW, if you're not following the original MGTOW philosophy, then you're technically not even a MGTOW. You're really not even a MGTOW, because you cannot change a philosophy. You cannot change a philosophy. And what the so-called label MGTOW referred to is a philosophy that most people have not adhered to for almost 15 to 20 years. All right? 15 to 20 years. Well, you think about it in that respect, MGTOW died 15 to 20 years ago. All right? And what we're dealing with right now is just a sad imposter. One of many different imposters that has appeared over the years. That's all there is to it. Orion says, early morning live show while at work. Great. PV2 says, I'm going to keep this giant target on my back, says he. The Nazi says, they can't shut Monero, but one day governments can threaten prison sentence for using Monero. And that's the honest to goodness truth, but it's actually kind of funny. So for example, I remember someone described that, they can't take your money, but they can make your life miserable if you don't give it to them. But here's the interesting thing about this. When it comes to fiat currency today, not only do they take your money, but they also make your life miserable anyway. Think about that very carefully. When it comes to fiat currency today, all right, paper money, not only do they take your money, but they also make your life miserable. All right, so not much really changes anyway. When it comes to cryptocurrency, they can make your life as miserable as they want to, but at the end of the day, they still can't just take your money, all right? In fact, like I said, if you memorize your private key, and they don't know what public address it's in, then money essentially just vanishes, all right? And if for some reason you pass away, that money goes along with you, technically speaking, because it becomes almost impossible for them to actually locate it and tie it directly to you unless they can somehow prove that this address belonged to you. And then on top of it, there's no way that they could actually get into that address without the private key. The only potential that they would ever have of getting into that address would be to theoretically, from what I understand, have access to a truly functional quantum computer that can process data, that can basically process calculations in a short period of time that would essentially require modern day computers anywhere from hundreds to thousands of years to compute. Did you hear me right? They would need a functional, not these semi-functional knockoffs of what they want to call quantum computers that use qubits, I believe. That's what they do. Because these aren't real quantum computers, all right? They still haven't gotten it right yet. All right? They would need a truly functional quantum computer that can process data that currently takes computers, that would currently take the fastest modern day computers hundreds, if not thousands of years to process, to break the encryption, to actually supposedly, theoretically break, a private key, and get into a crypto account. And that's on top of the fact that they would literally need to know what account the funds actually are in, and verify that this person actually owns that account. Because if they break into a random account that they have no proof actually belongs to that specific individual, now they've actually gone ahead and broken at least one law, or if not a series of laws, of illegal search and seizure. How interesting is that? Which would be no different than the government basically confiscating assets from random citizens with no guidance, no proof, no questions asked, other than we see it and we're going to take it, and it doesn't matter who it belongs to. I mean, that's a horrendous dystopia of basically tyranny, massive tyranny. So there you have it. And you couldn't call such a thing a free republic, not even for face value. PV2 says, Igor, Google YouTube, go on YouTube on how to Bitcoin and stop begging for spoonfuls of soup. Learn how to get info. This is another very important thing. So you need to learning how to think for yourself and how to go and get something for yourself. It's so important. Don't forget, guys, if you're trying to learn about crypto, if you're very new to crypto, and or even if you've been with crypto for a while, but there's a lot of questions, a lot of things you don't understand, don't forget you can go over to my website, cryptomoney.academy. And I'll try to put a link in the description so you can find it after this video ends. But it's cryptomoney.academy, and you can go over there and you can actually purchase a full course. I've built an incredible course for you guys where it basically breaks down crypto. It covers many different sections, many different segments. It really goes deep into what cryptocurrency is. It provides the answers in clear-cut ways. You know, I wish that when I was learning about crypto, I had a resource like this, because you know, I had to figure it out on my own. But because I went through that, I'm able to now know, like, you know, the pitfalls and so forth, and you know what, and the things that areas that confused me. I was able to create a course. That would essentially address that. And I talk about that in the course as well, where like this is an area where people usually get confused. And in the course itself, there's actually information in the course where I'll literally say, this is information you do not need to know. If you are going to take this information and try to, you know, make it into something greater, ignore it, skip it, don't even apply it. Yes, I've actually have stuff like that in the course where I say, if you're going to try to take this information as, like, you know, as if you're going to try to commit this information to memory, and and try to adhere to it, and again, skip over it. Do not memorize it. Do not, because it can actually hinder your progress and make it more difficult, significantly more difficult for you to learn, for you to understand. Because what you're doing is we all want to make money in the end. All right. We all want to make money in the end. You learn about crypto not simply because you're just interested in it. You're learning about it because you want to make some money. All right. That's why we're doing crypto. We do crypto to make money, to invest, all right, to save, to protect our wealth and our resources. We don't just simply do it because, hey, it's interesting. Granted, you can come to enjoy learning about it because it's different. But again, let's be honest, why we're here for money. So it's cryptomoney.academy. That's the website. And I will put a link to it in the description of the video. And it's actually a really nice website. You've got the money on top, and then, you know, you scroll down, you have this here. And if you click on courses, you can click on courses. There's a link at the top that says courses. And there's a link at the top that says courses. And on top of the link, so yeah, there's a link at the top that says courses, and on top of that, you can also just click on the links in the description of the video, and that essentially, so that essentially allows you to go to the course menu as well. And I've just resized the page, so like I said, you can see it says full. Check out our full courses section. Click here. You can click on either one of those links to get there. Or you can also just scroll up you can go to the top of the page and click on courses at the top of the page. Doesn't matter. All right. You just want to click on courses. It will take you over to the course section. When you go over to the course section, you'll see that we have the first one up. This is a course that would cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And I've put this together for you guys. There's videos in it. There's all kinds of things. It's well written, well documented. And you click on it, Introduction to Cryptocurrency. Again, this price is going to change. This is probably going to go up to about $500 in the coming future. So this is the best time to get yourself a copy of this, to go ahead, join the course, learn. Now, the basics here is that by the end of the course, you will understand how cryptocurrency works, how to purchase and use cryptocurrency, how to store cryptocurrency, and different kinds of cryptocurrency. However, when we talk about, if you go to the curriculum, you can see that it's very, very in depth. You're going to learn what cryptocurrency is. You're going to learn about the distributed ledger, which is an underlying principle of cryptocurrency and the reason why people are using it and why it's superior to fiat currency. And you're going to understand what gives cryptocurrency value. That's just in the first section. There's 4 sections in total. Then you're going to go over to section 2. You're going to learn how cryptocurrency is created. You're going to learn how to store it. So be it in cold storage, be it in an online wallet, be it on a hardware wallet. You're going to learn the differences between all of those. You're not going to have to go researching yourself. All right. You're going to have that information in front of you. Not only do you have that, but you're also going to have videos that take it a step further. And those videos are actually optional. Okay. So I've designed this in such a way that you can get as much out of it as you are willing to put into it. Then you have the third lesson in section 2, which is using cryptocurrency and purchasing crypto. So you're going to learn how to use it. You're going to learn how to purchase it. You're going to learn where you can purchase it and the different methods in which it can be purchased and the most common methods in which it can be purchased and the most common methods in which it's currently used. You'll also learn about the value and what gives it value, as I said earlier. Section 3 is going to introduce you to dApps, which are decentralized applications. And we don't hear enough about decentralized applications, but in the truth be told, decentralized applications are a very, very important part of cryptocurrency. Unfortunately, people hear crypto and they just think about making money, but they don't think about the reasons why crypto is valuable and what powers what utility tokens are used, for example, like, the different kinds of crypto, the difference between, for example, oh, this is a security token, this is a utility token, this is a standard token, this is an equity token. And of course, that's going to be discussed, the different kinds of tokens and the different uses for those tokens, different kinds of cryptos and different uses for those cryptos in this course. All right. You're also going to find out about crypto and the Internet of Things. And it's very important. So the Internet of Things, as I've said before, that's kind of like, always connected devices like smart thermostat. The reason why you might think, well, what does crypto have anything to do with that? Well, that actually has a lot to do with security. So for example, it's a difference between someone cloning, for example, someone being able to hack into your open your door. Let's say you have a door that can be opened, wirelessly. And using blockchain technology, you can prevent duplicates of that. So someone could not, let's say, hack into your system and then take control and then enter your home or take control of your computer, for example. That's another way in which blockchain technology could potentially be used in the future to prevent people from hacking your computer, hacking your files, because of the verification system behind that, and the consensus necessary. They would have to reach a certain group consensus, and it would be validated by multiple different sources over a very quick period of time to determine that it is indeed valid. And again, I just realized that this could potentially revolutionize computing, and if not eliminate hacking, make it very, very difficult for it to occur. Then you have section 4, which is the different kinds of cryptocurrency. Again, I mentioned a little of that earlier. You're going to learn about equity crypto. You're going to learn about utility tokens or utility crypto. You're going to learn about security tokens. You're going to learn about standard. All right, you're going to learn those are the main kinds of cryptocurrencies right now. You're going to learn the very difference of those. All right, so that you can understand what they are, how to use them, and so forth. And don't forget, in section 3, at the very end of section 3, you also learn about initial coin offerings. You're going to learn about initial coin offerings, how to get involved in them, should you get involved in them, the legality behind them. Again, you're going to learn you understand the core of those. All right. Section 4, different kinds of crypto. Like I said a moment ago, you're also going to have lesson 2, which goes into cryptocurrency investing strategies. This one is really important because you're going to learn how to actually invest. Should you actually invest? And again, we're going to talk about legality behind that as well. So you're going to learn strategies for investing, and you're going to learn about your ability to invest as well. Lesson 3 in section 4 discusses the importance of consistency and persistence. And actually, out of all the different lessons in this entire course, that might be the single most important lesson that you will ever learn, because without those 2 things, you cannot succeed. All right? Those 2 things are more important than every other lesson in this entire thing. Okay? So like I said, with that said, this is currently going for $100. This entire massive course, this full course that I have prepared for you. Again, there's tons of resources in here, videos that I've prepared for you, guys, that help to illustrate this. We've already sold quite a few of these. We've already sold, just today alone, we sold 2 of these courses. All right. So not today, yesterday. So, you have a series of options. You can go ahead, you can pick up this course. We've had a lot of people picking up the course already, and you can pick up the course for $100. It's going to be going up to probably around $500 in the near future, but you can get it for $100 right now. You click on buy course, and you will be able to take the course, learn, study, and the great thing about that is because I've developed the course, you can also reach out to me with other questions that you may have. But that's pretty much it. So again, you can find this at cryptomoney.academy. There's going to be a link to it in the description of the video. I'm going to put that in just a moment. You'll be able to go there. You'll be able to take the course. You'll be able to learn about crypto and actually get onto this. For those of you thinking that crypto doesn't matter because the power is going to go out, I feel bad because honestly, I don't think the power is going to go out. I think we're going to have I think you're going to be in a situation where people have Wi-Fi, but they don't have bread to eat. They don't have food to eat. It's going to be more along those lines. Wi-Fi is pretty standard these days. That's just kind of how it is. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Igor says they want you to stop withdrawing. It's funny, we have a 12-year-old understanding this, understanding how the banking system has essentially gone downhill. Denasi says, would you give notice if you're going to increase the price course? Let me see here. You guys are pretty something else. It's funny. Dinasti says, I would pay good patron dollars if I can obtain cryptos without KYCS. So here's actually another thing in the tutorial. I actually do discuss a bit of that, and you do get a pretty interesting idea, a good idea of how you could potentially obtain cryptos at a very, very good rate, even when they are KYC tokens. Which is basically know your customer. All right. So there's different strategies to acquire different cryptocurrencies, everything related from decentralized exchanges to middlemen, and different ways that you can go about handling the circumstance, as well as determining whether just because you could, does that mean that you should? Because you want to know what the legal ramifications are for that within your country. Igor says, Angry Madman, course link, please. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to put, it's crypto, it is cryptomoneyacademy.com. All right, cryptomoneyacademy.com. I'm gonna put it in the description. Definitely, Igor, if you can, get your your parents to sign you up for the course. It is definitely a great course to check out. Definitely a great thing to learn at your age. Definitely a good thing to learn at your age. I just put the link in the chat. Stephen Rada says, Angry is genius. No, I'm not a genius. I keep pushing forward while others don't even try. You know, it's so funny. Like, you go to a doctor and you meet a doctor who's like, doesn't seem like all too smart. But you're like, how did you even become a doctor? And you know what's interesting? He was one of the only people who showed up. You ever think about my crypto? I'm putting it in the thing description. My crypto course. Okay, I just put it in the description and I saved it. Okay, if you guys want, you can just refresh the page and you should be able to see it in the description now. It's called cryptomoney.academy. Links in the description of the video. Just refresh the page and it's close to the top of the page. You can find it there. You can go check out the course and you can get into crypto, start learning today, because like I said, I'm no genius. You know, it's like a lot of people just don't even show up. You wonder about, like, how the heck did some people get the jobs that they have today? You know why? Because they're the only ones who showed up. They're the only ones who actually showed up. All right, you know, like, you're like, how the heck did you get this job? I was the only one who showed up, because a lot of people just gave up. They gave up before they even tried. Think about that carefully. Igor says, I don't understand the banking system, but I think the system is a bit fishy and suspicious. Good thinking at 12. Very good thinking, bro. Listen, don't worry too much about the banking system, the modern day banking system. It's on its way out. Focus on learning about cryptocurrency, because undoubtedly that's going to be a standard that will likely be, you know, replace modern day fiat currency. That'll be applied by central banks. It's interesting because I was reading an article where a number of central banks basically said that blockchain technology does have a feasible use, and that they're actually looking to potentially apply blockchain technology. You heard me right. Apply blockchain technology over like the next 5 years or so. You have to understand, the central banks are not your friends. That's something that a lot of people don't get, but it takes time for it to sink in. And it's so funny because when things go downhill and there's all this catastrophe and everyone thinks the banks are going to save them, it's hilarious. Like, you think the bankers are going to save you. The bankers are going to say, oh, well, these are your countries and you're supposed to be accountable for what you're doing. In fact, we just govern the flow of money, but it's up to you to decide, to determine if this money has any real intrinsic value. And something interesting I've heard about fiat currency is that when it comes to fiat currency, because it's printed, it's just paper money that's not backed by anything like gold or silver. When it comes to fiat currency, the value of fiat currency always eventually goes back down to zero. Shotgun 14 says, is this course online or physical? The entire course it's an online course. The entire course is online. Like I just showed you guys that the entire course is online. It's a complete online course. You get full access to the online course. And after you get access, you don't have to worry about a thing. I'll go back there again just so you guys can see it, because it seems there's like a little bit of confusion. You get full access to the online course. Here it is again for you. This is the curriculum, and you go through the different sections: lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, again section 2. It's all organized for you. It's very simple to use. Once you purchase the course, you get quick access to it. What's really cool about this is that I also do add updates to it, so you can actually go back to it later on and you can see if anything's been added or anything's been updated. It's a really, really great course. Really, really great course. And again, it's currently available at a steal. The price of this course will likely go up to around $500 in the near future. Right now, it is available for just $100. You would pay thousands of dollars, anywhere from hundreds to thousands of dollars for this course if you were to take it at a university. And on top of that, it would probably be structured a bit differently, where it would just have loads of jargon from people who never actually have had any experience with cryptocurrency. I've developed cryptocurrency. I've worked extensively with cryptocurrency. You'd be learning this from people who would just be copying and pasting it from a book written by a person who never actually worked with crypto themselves, but knows a guy who knows a guy that owns some Bitcoin, or claims to, at least, when it got some Bitcoin when it first came out, well, not first came out, but within those first 5-6 years, even though it's been like 10 years, but hey, 5-6 years, that's practically the same thing as day one, right? Practically the same thing. So yeah, this is it. If you want to go, it's cryptomoney.academy. This is an academy. There's going to be a number of other courses that I plan to put out for you guys that are going to delve into more advanced subjects later on. But for those of you that are, even those of you that are looking to get into advanced stages of crypto, this is essentially a go-to guide for everyone, because, you're going to find the information that even if you're advanced working in crypto, there's still questions that you're probably going to have. All right. And you're going to find a lot of that information, if not most of that information, in this course. It's going to tell you the things that you need to know, and you'll go back and you'll even go back later on to reference the information in this course, because it is so inclusive. It really provides you with something that you just can't really find almost anywhere else. So that's there for you. If you refresh the page, you can find the link in the description of the video, cryptomoney.academy. You can scoop it up for $100, and you can begin learning about crypto, learn extensively what it is, how it works, answer those questions, and it can help you to finally wrap your head around it, because it's designed in such a way that it considers, it considers the plights that people go through, and the things that really make it difficult for you to understand crypto in the beginning, and it works around that, and it provides realistic examples. It considers that directly. So that's something you're going to want to look at. All right, because like I said, when things go downhill, every crap coin is going to be worth money, at least in the beginning. Daniel Harry says, also angry, wasn't the other stir called Red Pill Crypto or something? Yes, and it's actually been moving along quite well at this point. Red Pill's it's like I said, I've told you guys multiple times to go and get some, because I'm not calling it a crap coin, but like I said, it's actually quite, the interesting thing is that it's not a dead coin. All right. And right now, I don't want to go too much into dead coins, but I'm going to be creating some advanced investing guides for you guys. And it's probably going to shock you the kinds of coins that you can invest in for literally next to nothing. next to nothing, all right? And then potentially make anywhere from thousands to hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars by just putting in a little bit of work. Let me see here. So guys, that's pretty much that. Also, don't forget that on my Patreon, I reveal there's a crypto tier on my Patreon, and in that Patreon I reveal my top picks. I reveal tips for crypto tips. That's $30 a month. If you become a $30 patron or above, you get access to that. I reveal my top coin picks, the coins that I've been personally investing in, the coins that you should be investing in. I provide, like, these are essentially like small guides where I provide detailed explanations of why these things have value, why I've done this. I really break it down. I really go into heavy detail. And as you guys can see, the number of people subscribed, the number of people who are actually subscribed to that tier has grown substantially. Like, I mean, just have a look at this. Like, look at this. This is the number, this is mostly these are mostly people, almost all of these are people who are subscribed to the $30 tier, and it just keeps on. There's only about, it's more than halfway filled up right now. So the number of us, because it's limited slots, because these people, they can actually send me, there's a service attached on that Patreon tier that we called crypto support that was just added recently, where people on that tier can actually send me messages, and they can send me a message every month with specific questions. It could be a simple crypto question, or it could be an advanced crypto question. But considering that I've done crypto development, considering that I have access to the resource, I can answer these questions. I can answer questions that a lot of times the average person who's into crypto cannot answer. Because of that, it's really an incredible service, and it's a service I'm thinking about actually charging a lot more for at a later time. Guys, just to let you know, so you probably heard my phone just go off. Someone just purchased the course. So as I'm talking to you, someone just purchased the course. A purchase just came in for the course, all right? Another one, all right? All right, another purchase just came in. All right, it's not a game. It's not a joke. Like I said, this course will likely go up to maybe around $500 in the near future. So get it while you still can. And yeah, that was my phone going off, letting me know, oh, you just got another purchase for that course. All right, just got another purchase for that course. Let me look at the chat very quickly. Okay, Shotgun14 said, just purchased your course. All right. Shotgun, thank you for your purchase. And I like I said, guys, I'm going to put up the reviews. We're going to put up all the reviews from people who've purchased the course. All right. And you'll see the reviews. You can talk to people like guys like Mickey Turner, who are subscribed to my $30 tier on Patreon. And, these guys, there's one guy who purchased $2,500 in the secret, in my top pick coin. All right. As soon as he found out what it was, $2,500, just like that. All right. And a bunch of you guys, everyone who's signing up, they're like, oh, this is it. And you're going and getting it. And guys, I don't leave you hanging. I provide details, because your success is my success. If you make money, that means that more people are going to believe in what I'm doing, see legitimacy in it, and that means that I'll make even more money for myself. I'm not hiding who I am and what I am. I want to make money, all right? I am a capitalist. I am a hardcore capitalist. I'm here to make money, all right? But my reputation, is as good as my ability to make money is only as good as my reputation, and my reputation is only as good as what results I deliver, okay? Igor, let me see here. Steven Rada says, every time they knock Angry down, he pops right back up. I think it's God. It is God. But you know something interesting about life? I've gone through. It's so funny because part of that resilience comes from being knocked down and being forced to get up. You know, taking mass. It's like basically, you know, if someone's never been in a fight before, the first time that they're in a fight, they're probably going to go down. All right. Especially if the person's a lot bigger than they are. But the thing is, if you've been going through one fight after another fight in your life, it makes it much easier to get back up, even when others would say that you're insane. You know, I look at the things I've gone through and I realize that a lot of that resilience that I've gone through at times when I've said, God, why do you allow these things to happen to me? And it's like I asked God, I said that to God recently. Something happened. And I said, God, why? I want an answer. And these answers just came from me. I said, why didn't you allow me to have this? And why are you allowing this to happen to me? And I love you, Father, but why? And these answers came to me. And the first answer was when I said, why did you not allow me to have this? And the answer came to me was because I have something better for you. And then I said, why do you keep allowing this to happen to me? And the answer that immediately came to me was because I want to make you stronger. Okay? Because I want to make you stronger. And you have to understand that, you know, you don't get stronger, guys. You don't get stronger just by sitting around. You know? If you think about the people that are the strongest, the men that are the strongest, have the strongest muscles, they went through tons and tons of pain to get that strong. They weren't born strong. They weren't born fit. They weren't born with an 8-pack, okay? That is blood, sweat, and tears to get to that point. Pain, sacrifice, discipline, okay? Getting up when others tell you that you can't. Getting up when others tell you that you're going to fail. When you're being criticized, when you're being laughed at, when people start getting in your path, trying to stop you from succeeding, all right? Even tripping you up, and you fall down, and you have to pick yourself back up, and you feel like you have nothing left, like you have to start over from square one. But you know what's interesting I've learned about that? Where you tumble all the way down and you think that you're completely out. You think, what the heck? I've just fallen back to square one. There's no way I can do this. I can do this again. I might as well give up. But here's the thing. You can fall right back to the beginning, but here's the thing. You're back. You may fall back all the way down, but you're no longer the same person that you were when you started off on that journey, because now you have something different. You have something called experience. And as a result of that experience, you can often find that as a result of experience, you can now do things rapidly, much faster. So you can get back from point A to point D in a significantly shorter time than it took you the first time around. All right? Or even the second time around. Igor says, angry, I cannot pay because I don't have a credit card and PayPal because of age. Well, I mean, like I said, Igor, you can definitely ask one of your parents if they'll allow you to use a credit card or PayPal. And I'm going to be adding additional payment options very soon. I'm working on that right now. I almost delayed the release of it because I wanted to have additional payment options in place, but it's selling really, really well right now. It's selling really, really well. It's definitely something that you can talk to your parents about, as I've said. Steve says, stay tuned. God will provide. Guys, like I said, thank you for purchasing it. Definitely, we're going to start posting up the reviews from people who've purchased it so you guys can see exactly what it is. Okay. Shotgun says, I hope your course is worth it. I'm a noob in crypto, but I want to start learning. Bro, open up the course. You can start looking at it right now, and you can literally see how detailed it is. It's extremely detailed. It's an extremely detailed course. let me see here. Christian Santana says, thanks, bro. This is really relevant in my life. I appreciate hearing this. I'm glad that I can share this with you. And I speak from a point, I speak about my experiences, but I don't speak for anyone else but myself. And you take from, the truth is, what you should be doing is you shouldn't be listening to my word as the things I say as gospel. You should take from my words of value, what is of value to you, and discard the rest that isn't. I trust me, my feelings won't be hurt because my views are constantly changing. They're constantly evolving based on the things that I learn and and I grow. And I think that's an important part of life, that you can experience growth, you know. We can experience growth both physically and cognitively. So again, you should take from my words what you find of value in them. If you find nothing of value, you should just avoid them entirely. If you find bits and pieces of value, you should take those pieces of value and throw away, discard everything else. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you are going your own way. So you decide what is relevant to you. And, you know, sometimes you might say later on, but you know what? You know, that other thing he said was also relevant. That's fine. You can go back and pick that up as well. All right. But it comes down to taking accountability and realizing that at the end of the day, doesn't matter what I say, because it's still going to be your life to live. And the decisions that you make, regardless if you decide to do something that I've suggested or or do something that I've done, at the end of the day, I won't take any accountability for that, because you're still making the decision to apply that in your life, to take that and adhere to it. So at the end of the day, you'll receive the, you know, you're taking the risk, so you'll also receive the rewards, or you'll receive the consequences, or a combination of both. But such is life. Such is life. Oh gosh. Well, guys, again, the link is in the description of the video to the course. It's cryptomoney.academy. You can you can sign up. The course will likely go up to about $500 in the near future. But don't sit around, don't sit on your hands, because like I said, in the future, every crap coin is going to be worth money, at least initially, because you're going to have a lot of people entering the markets that don't even know anything about crypto. There's going to be a lot of people buying coins called Bitcoin. They're essentially just, you know, just coins made up, you know, like someone just made them up and named them Bitcoin. And there are going to be people buying them, and not only buying these coins, but selling them and making money off them too initially, because there's going to be so much confusion. But you're going to be ahead of the pack by knowing this, by having this information, by having this resource, by having taken this course. All right. And you can work on this course at overall your own pace. All right, guys. So like I said, take your time. Don't give up. And at the end of the day, like I said, I'm dropping labels. I'm dropping all labels, but I am still going my own way. So while I won't call myself a MGTOW, I am still a man. I'm still going my own way, the way I choose to go. And that is the way you should go as well. Not the way of a label, but the way you choose to go, the way you choose to live your life, the way you choose to adhere to your life. What makes you happy, not what makes anyone else happy. What brings you peace and what you can live with, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the person who has to live with yourself and live with the decisions that you make, and you can't blame anyone else. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You may not have created the problem, but it's still your problem to fix if it's in your life. It's the honest to goodness truth. All right, it's the honest to goodness truth. All right, guys. Don't forget that you can always reach out to me on Patreon, and you can find my top crypto picks on Patreon as well. So you can find out what cryptocurrencies I am invested in and which ones, you know, you should potentially consider investing in. And you'll find out my reasons. You'll find out a lot of things, and there's a lot of details on there for you. So definitely don't miss out on that opportunity to Don't miss out on that opportunity, because it's an incredible opportunity to learn, to grow, to advance, to secure your wealth, to improve your wealth, to improve your status, because there's no, going through life having monetary issues, but saying, oh, well, but at least I'm not greedy. Let me tell you something about money. Money cannot buy you happiness, but it can sure as heck facilitate it. All right? You heard me, and I said it once, I'll say it again. Money cannot buy you happiness, but it can sure as heck facilitate it. Steve Rada says, God loves angry. Let me tell you something. He does love me. He loves everyone, because God is love. All right? God is love. All right? He loves you too. All right, guys. So love God, go MGTOW, get money, and cheers.